A large white monster roars loudly in a barren wasteland. A foot is seen running towards the monster. It is the foot of a young man throwing his fist at the monster. The impact causes an enormous explosion. However, the impact was fully absorbed due to soft skin. The white monster looks angrily at the blue-haired fighter. The monster quickly raises its arm, ready to attack. The young man quickly crosses his arms and prepares for battle. He clenches his jaw tightly, bracing for whatever is to come. The ground cracks loudly beneath them. A purple-haired woman has come to his rescue. She sternly tells him to back off. He smiles widely and thanks them profusely. Her attack is swift and powerful, removing the hand of the monster. But again, the monster just starts regenerating. None of the attacks have done any damage. Since physical attacks won't work, we can try this. One says, grinning widely. I guess the time has come. It's been a while. Another replies, also grinning. Shut it, the woman sharply says. He stands firmly in the middle of a circle of yellow chains. He empowers his sword using a spell. He attacks using the 9th layered chain spell. The monster flips upside down, a chain wrapped in chains. He quickly raises his spear high above his head. He stands in the circle of chains, a powerful blue light shoots out. The monster shakes violently, bound tightly by chains. The monster continues to shake, held fast by the glowing chains. The large creature lies on its back, exhaling smoke. He's finally down. It seems like he ate an entire wasteland of living organisms. Somehow it doesn't seem like he's just a level B-grade enemy. No, we're a step behind, fall back. Another shouts. He looks down worriedly at the red beam coming from the creature. That thing, they say, staring at the red beam. Fetal demon of consumption, class, parasite, danger level, S. Turns head, a dark figure says, it's got eyes on us. The woman quickly moves forward, holding her blade. Its arms still dripping red. It lies on its back and emits a bright red beam of light. A red and white sphere glows brightly in the center. A large, red, glowing creature lays on the desert ground. This entire place is going to go down, he exclaims, looking worriedly to the right. Huh? He says, looking to the right in confusion. Huh? It says, looking to the right as a black creature flies nearby. Everyone, get behind me, he shouts, extending his arm out. Gurgle, it moans loudly, its arms dripping red liquid. A red creature with sharp teeth and a large, glowing red sword appears, its eyes glowing. The white creature looks up in shock, its hands covering its head. The white creature stares in shock, its hands still on its head. A dark hole opens in the ground, the sky a mix of red, brown, and purple. 3 people stand inside a blue dome, one holding a stick. What's going on? There's trouble, not even a warning before letting out an attack like this. One exclaims in shock. But this ability was clearly used to suppress the demon's attacks. Another says, a dragon's shadow looms behind them. They run away quickly, dodging shards of blue energy. Thank goodness it's not an enemy. Sigh, he says, wiping sweat from his forehead. She steps firmly on the ground, sending dust flying up. Killing that thing was like crushing a bug, yet you guys needed the queen to come over at this time to do extermination. She says smugly. She floats tiredly, after coming to this world, my head has been a mess. It looks like I'll still have to teach you a lot, this way, you'll truly become the king of this kingdom, she says with a smirk, pointing at him. Ha ha, but what I can say for sure is that I miraculously became the ruler of these lands. He says, smiling nervously and sweating. Oh, and she's my wife, she says, smiling and holding a blue ball. The Shu Luo Plains has many tribes, including humans, demons, and other creatures. Within these tribes, the human tribe and the demon tribe are the strongest, she says, looking at him. The 2 tribes erupted into full-out war a few centuries ago over essential resources. Both tribes became crippled over time. The human tribe was the first to ask for peace, she explains. And then the demon tribe, she continues, gesturing to the figures on the table. The demon tribe's queen, Isabella Osa, agreed to sign the treaty for peace, she adds with a smirk. In a city on Earth, the night sky stretches above a sprawling metropolis. Rise, use CC, Alistar, bait them, leave the rest to me. Someone instructs. We won, they announce excitedly. Whoa, no wonder he's the #1 player of the region, he got another pentakill. Someone shouts, headphones, this guy doesn't take the game seriously but still plays it so well. Headphones. If I wasn't ganked at mid once, I would have had a perfect game. My name is Shang Yi, he types, slightly frustrated. He spends his days drawing and playing video games. Initially I thought my entire summer was going to continue like this, I didn't think I would become another world's savior, he thinks, lying in bed. I'm so damn tired, I'll play again tomorrow. He mumbles, looking up with a tired expression. When did my ceiling look like this? He wonders, seeing a blurry image of the queen. She looks up, seemingly observing her surroundings. You, who are you? Why are you inside my house? Idiot, this place isn't your home, she exclaims, pointing at him. What is this place? Am I hallucinating from playing too many video games? He wonders, looking around at the strange scene. He quickly questions his sanity. That can't be right. If I was hallucinating, why does everything then feel so real? He looks around at the strange people in their outfits, wondering if he's in a new place. He smiles, finally accepting his reality. I'm in a different universe? A woman with horns asks a man in a robe, High Priest, is he really the one that the prophecies speak of? The older woman explains, the legends say that the one that wields the magic ring, which is like the queen's, is the chosen one. He looks confused and asks, what magic ring? The woman with horns stares at him, while the older woman also watches closely. He holds up a necklace with a red gem and asks, are you talking about this thing? A hand holds a similar gold ring with a red gem. She excitedly exclaims, that's right, that magic ring. She quickly compares it to her own, it's identical to mine. The woman with purple horns looks at the man and questions why he has no magic. He looks away and holds his shirt. The woman with purple horns cries and exclaims that he is part of the human tribe. The man with brown hair explains he bought the ring at a street store. He doesn't understand what they are talking about. Two other men look on. The woman with purple horns looks shocked and surprised. The woman with purple horns asks the older woman if there is a problem with the summoning spell. The woman with purple horns angrily points at the man, wondering why she summoned a useless human. The older woman cries and explains that the summoning was successful, and the man is the one destined to save the demon tribe. The man with brown hair looks surprised and asks what is going on and who these people are. Isabella Osa introduces herself as the 7th descendant of the demon tribe, addressing the man rudely. A tall man and a woman stand behind a table, and Isabella Osa is visible to the side. She states today is the day of the peace treaty signing. A dark figure with red eyes speaks with a smirk, claiming that no one anticipated the secret agreement between Lillian and the humans. A dark figure with glowing green eyes appears. The dark figure reveals that Lillian planned to attack Isabella Osa while she was defenseless. A tall woman with horns and a shorter woman with short hair stand in silhouette. It is revealed that Lillian took a significant amount of Isabella Osa's magic. 4 figures stand in silhouette, one larger than the others. Isabella Osa explains that 4 guards sacrificed themselves to protect her. Isabella Osa explains that she survived only because of the sacrifices of her guards, and she has a tear on her cheek. Isabella Osa states that only a few people can protect her now, and the man thinks. The man realizes he's in a fantasy world and thinks he might be the hero who saves the fallen female protagonist. The man considers that if the story is as he suspects, he'd be the male protagonist. A man in armor stands nearby. The man hopes he can end up with Isabella Osa and suggests hiding in a mountain. Isabella Osa looks at him. Isabella Osa questions if the humans will let them escape so easily. She mentions being chased earlier and explains that they were depending on the chosen one. A man with green hair shouts angrily, calling the man useless. A woman with blonde hair looks worried at Isabella Osa and asks if she is okay. Isabella Osa has a worried expression. Isabella Osa feels her magic fading, and she has a serious expression. Isabella Osa fades in a dark setting with purple hues. Isabella Osa's hand fades into nothingness in a white and purple setting. Isabella Osa's leg fades into nothingness in a white and purple setting. An older man in a purple robe looks to the left, and a blonde woman looks at him with shock. The man with brown hair looks surprised and exclaims in shock as Isabella Osa fades in the background. The man with brown hair looks up and to the right, noticing changes in his body. He has red lines on his face. Isabella Osa looks down and to the right. Isabella Osa looks to the left with a shocked expression and a tear on her cheek. An older man explains that the changes are likely due to Isabella Osa's depleted magic and she is now in a light purple mist. The older man looks at Isabella Osa as she looks at her hand in shock and wonders how she will present herself to her people. A woman with blonde hair covers her mouth in shock. A woman with green hair and a man with brown hair point at Isabella Osa, accusing him of causing her depletion of magic. The man with brown hair looks up and to the right, defending himself by saying he never wanted to be summoned. A man with gray hair and a green creature warn that the human tribe is attacking their defenses. A man with gray hair and a green creature with red eyes urge Isabella Osa to leave, promising to defend her. She looks shocked, and a woman with green hair looks on. The man with brown hair looks to the left. Isabella Osa smirks and thanks her loyal fighters. The older man explains that Isabella Osa's human appearance makes escape easier but warns her not to reveal her true identity. The older man smiles and offers to stay behind to protect the guards, but Isabella Osa refuses to leave her people. The older woman with a long white nose stands and looks down, holding her staff. Isabella Osa and a blonde woman stand in a large room with a magic circle. The blonde woman reaches out her hand. A man in a purple robe holds a staff and looks at a circle with 5 people, their arms outstretched, on a checkered floor. He says, "High Priest, this." A woman with white hair and a blue dress cries out, "My Majesty, don't go," as she pulls away from a blonde woman who is trying to hold onto her. Another woman with green and orange clothes looks on in alarm. A man crawls downstairs while a woman with black hair and a woman with green skin look down at him with worried and determined expressions. They discuss taking him with them. The man with brown hair shouts, pleading to be left alone. An older man with a staff and 3 worried women are in a large blue room. He mentions this being his last service to the demon tribe. An elderly woman with a hood smiles gently, offering to serve Isabella Osa once more. A young boy with white hair and red eyes cries out in despair, his hands outstretched. A figure in a purple robe and hood stands in a room with a checkered floor, holding a staff with a blue orb. A bright blue light shines from the left. A cloaked figure holds a staff with a blue orb, a skeleton hand and a snake wrapped around it, standing in a large room with a tiled floor. Brown blocks crash into a building, causing destruction and revealing a bright orange and white light behind them. Smoke billows from outside a room with black and white tiles as a figure in a purple robe is partially visible. Clouds form in a blue and purple sky. An older man with a purple robe and long beard grips a blue staff with a golden crown and snakes wrapped around it, looking to the left against a cloudy sky. 3 figures in red and brown attire stand in a stone corridor, the central figure with a beard and mustache looking to the left. Torst Angus, an old man in a purple robe, smiles subtly as he looks left in a hazy, dreamlike room. Fireflies float in a forest at night, and a blue glow emanates from a large rock near a dirt road leading into the woods. 4 robed figures stand surrounded by a protective blue light in a dark forest, held in place by beams of light. 4 women stand together in a dark blue space, one with a blue shirt that says, "Me," wrapped around another. Someone asks if the human tribe is still surrounding them and points out the castle from earlier in the night sky. Someone urges them to leave quickly, reminding the woman with white hair to maintain composure. The woman with blonde hair reassures the others that the woman with white hair won't grieve at this time. The woman with white hair and red eyes declares that she will avenge the fallen soldiers, her expression serious. Someone shouts, "Let's go," from a cliff overlooking a dirt road where 4 figures are walking. 4 figures, including one with a masked face, find the remaining demon troops against a dark, starry sky. 4 figures, including one in purple swim trunks, are seen on a sandy beach at night. A woman with white hair and red eyes has a scared expression and a tear on her cheek against a dark blue background. 3 figures stand against a dark background. One with brown hair and a red shirt has an arrow piercing their chest. A woman with brown hair and green eyes bleeds from the mouth, and a shirtless man with purple eyes looks shocked, exclaiming about the amount of blood. 6 figures look over their shoulders in a forest at night, warning the woman with white hair to leave while they hold back the attackers. 6 figures in red shirts run through a field at night, while one in brown armor holds a spear. They're told they'll be rewarded for demon skulls. The woman with brown hair and green eyes continues to bleed, and the shirtless man with purple eyes looks shocked against a dark blue background. She calls the humans garbage. The shirtless man with brown hair and green eyes, covered in blood, makes a serious request, asking the others to protect the queen. The shirtless man with purple eyes agrees seriously to protect the queen, saying, I will. 2 hands shake in an orange-colored setting, symbolizing a promise or agreement. Isabella Osa tells the shirtless man to let go of her hand because she wants to fight with her troops, against a dark blue background. Isabella Osa holds the shirtless man's hand, urging him to run with her, warning him that he'll die if he fights. Isabella Osa looks serious, stating that she'd rather die than abandon her troops, against a gray background. Isabella Osa tells the shirtless man to stop being foolish, against a blue background. Isabella Osa explains that if he goes back to fight, their sacrifices will be meaningless, against a gray background. Isabella Osa cries while explaining that he can only avenge his fallen soldiers if he survives, and that if he dies, their legacies will be lost, against a light blue background. Isabella Osa cries while the shirtless man stands beside her, against a dark blue background. A group of figures with swords stand in a dark gray setting. One with blonde hair and a red shirt threatens a blonde-haired man with blue eyes, stating that she wants to have some fun before killing him. Isabella Osa continues to cry with a serious expression, against a light brown background. Isabella Osa and the shirtless man walk together on a dirt road in a forest. A figure in red armor with a sword and another figure with brown hair stand in a field at night under a starry sky. Isabella Osa and the shirtless man look shocked against a dark blue background, and Isabella Osa says, fuck. Isabella Osa, the shirtless man, and 2 figures in red armor stand in a forest, holding swords. 2 figures in brown armor stand under a starry sky, speculating that the shirtless man and Isabella Osa might be slaves due to their unusual clothing. 3 figures discuss whether or not they should kill the shirtless man and Isabella Osa against a dark, starry sky. 2 arms reach towards each other in a blue background, suggesting a possible interaction or connection. Isabella Osa runs away, and the shirtless man reaches out to her, against a dark blue background. Isabella Osa cries and yells, "You animals!" with an angry expression against a blue background. Isabella Osa runs through a dark forest while a figure in brown armor looks surprised. 3 figures walk in a blue space, and the shirtless man has his arm around Isabella Osa, while the armored figure observes, commenting on her excitement to see her people. 2 figures in brown armor discuss a rumor that the demon tribe brainwashes slaves into viewing humans as a threat, against a dark blue sky. A figure in brown armor considers whether or not they should kill the shirtless man and Isabella Osa for a reward, against an orange background. 3 figures stand in a forest, and one in red armor with a sword declares that the shirtless man and Isabella Osa should be killed for being potentially affiliated with the demon tribe. The shirtless man expresses anger that the armored figures are willing to kill people of their own kind, against a dark red background. A hand grabs Isabella Osa's head against a white background. The shirtless man smiles and explains that neither he nor Isabella Osa have been brainwashed by the demons, while a man with purple hair looks down. Another man with a red aura smiles and places his hand on the man with purple hair's head. A man in armor explains that Isabella Osa has suffered from emotional trauma due to the demon tribe's harassment, against a light blue background. The shirtless man smiles and pleads to be released, explaining that they have been mistreated by the demon tribe for a long time. A woman with white hair and red eyes yells angrily that the shirtless man made royalty kneel and she'll kill him, against a red background. Isabella Osa smirks and looks down, commenting that the woman with white hair can't fight her in her current form, against a white background. The shirtless man cries and begs Isabella Osa to suppress her magic so they can both live, against a white background. Isabella Osa cries, explaining that she can only avenge her people if she's alive, against a pale blue background. The shirtless man laughs and pats Isabella Osa's head while she lays on the ground. An armored figure looks on confused, and the shirtless man comments that Isabella Osa is traumatized and thinks she's a queen. A man with a helmet and beard smiles, stating that he only cares about the reward for their skulls, against a dark blue background. The shirtless man looks to the right with a confused expression, saying, "Huh?" in a nighttime setting with trees and a few lights. Two armored figures discuss how to split the reward for the skulls, deciding that whoever kills the shirtless man and Isabella Osa first will get it all, against a nighttime starry sky. Three armored figures surround the shirtless man and Isabella Osa, who are lying on the ground, holding swords. The shirtless man begs them to let them go. An armored figure smiles and holds a sword over their head, with a blurry image of hair in the bottom half of the image, against a dark blue starry sky. Horses' legs appear, and someone shouts, "Halt!" as three figures, one in red armor, Isabella Osa, and the shirtless man, are in the distance against a nighttime setting. Isabella Osa holds her head and looks to the left with a concerned expression, while the shirtless man and an armored figure look at her under a starry night sky. Isabella Osa rides a horse towards white flags in the distance under a starry night sky. An armored figure warns the shirtless man that they'll be punished if they're not on the front lines, against a dark blue starry night. A flag with a black dragon appears, and someone explains that the approaching figures are not part of their squad, but the White Dragon Squad, against a dark blue starry night. Isabella Osa and the shirtless man look in opposite directions under the nighttime sky, with other figures, including three in red armor, in the background. Isabella Osa, riding a horse and wearing golden-trimmed armor, asks if the approaching figures are there to provide support, against a nighttime setting with trees and lights. A figure on horseback in golden-trimmed armor and a white cape states that they overheard the conversation, against a nighttime setting with trees and lights. Isabella Osa looks to the right and says she'll pretend she didn't hear anything, against a light-colored background. An armored figure looks to the right, commenting on the White Dragon Squad's lack of rights compared to the Red Dragon Squad, against a pink background. Isabella Osa, sitting on a horse with a sword, asserts her authority over the approaching figures as the leader of her squad, against a dark blue sky. Isabella Osa, with yellow eyes, states that she has permission to execute all of them, regardless of their squad, against a blue and black background with streaks. An armored figure smiles nervously, sweating, and agrees to leave immediately, against a dark blue background. Three armored figures run left, one runs right, as Isabella Osa sits on her horse while the shirtless man and another woman kneel. Isabella Osa and the shirtless man look in different directions, and golden boots appear in the bottom of the image, against a dark blue background with bushes. The shirtless man whispers, "Fuck, fuck, the soldiers have all left, but the stronger ones arrive." Isabella Osa, sitting on a horse with a sword, introduces herself as Sophises, the leader of the White Dragon Knights, as the shirtless man and another woman look on. Isabella Osa asks when the shirtless man and Isabella Osa were captured by the demon tribe, against a starry night sky. The shirtless man smiles and expresses relief that Isabella Osa has arrived, against a teal-blue background. A sword points towards the shirtless man's head against a light orange background. Isabella Osa demands an answer to her question, holding her sword, against a dark blue starry night sky. Isabella Osa warns the shirtless man that he'll lose his life if he doesn't answer her question, against a gray background. Isabella Osa yells at the shirtless man for not being quiet, and he pleads with her to just kill him if that's what she wants, against a dark blue background. The shirtless man smiles and explains that he was captured as a child and doesn't remember the exact time, against a dark blue background. Isabella Osa looks down with a serious expression, against a white background with diagonal lines. An armored figure and the shirtless man stand in a starry night, and the armored figure asks the shirtless man what his role was in the demon tribe. The shirtless man blushes and explains that he was just an assistant cook, against a dark blue background. Isabella Osa points at the shirtless man, introducing him as her husband, and the shirtless man smiles and points at himself, against a light brown background. The armored figure says, "Is that so?" with a serious expression, against a dark blue background with trees and grass. The shirtless man looks surprised and asks if Isabella Osa believes him, against a dark blue background, as the armored figure holds a sword. The shirtless man blushes and explains that he was the queen's bitch, which is why he walked around naked, against a gray background with white lines. The shirtless man looks surprised, and Isabella Osa moves quickly against a dark blue background. The shirtless man holds a white shirt and looks to the side as Isabella Osa, in armor, also looks to the side, against a pink background with flower petals. The armored figure states that the demon tribe probably took the shirtless man's clothes because he tried to escape, against a light yellow background. The shirtless man blushes and wonders why the armored figure has such a loving aura, against a light pink background. The armored figure, in black and gold, promises to take them home, while Isabella Osa, in blue, and the shirtless man look on, against a dark blue starry background. Isabella Osa frowns, reminding the armored figure that she's the ruler of the demon tribe, and asks him to be quiet, against a dark blue starry background. The armored figure calls the shirtless man, "Sir," and Isabella Osa and the shirtless man hold hands, looking to the side, as another armored figure looks forward, against a blue background with grass. An armored figure reports that the red and black dragon squads have withdrawn, against a dark blue starry background, standing next to a horse. The armored figure says that he seems to have arrived late, and Isabella Osa holds the shirtless man's hand while the shirtless man looks on, against a light blue background with white circles. Isabella Osa shouts, threatening to make the shirtless man's life a living nightmare if he disrespects her again, against a light blue background. The shirtless man, blushing and with his hand raised, pleads with Isabella Osa to keep a low profile and avoid revealing her identity. Isabella Osa, against a starry night background, worries that if she returns to the human tribe with these figures, she won't be able to return to the demon plains. Isabella Osa reminds the shirtless man that he can't go anywhere if he gets killed, against a gray background. The shirtless man, with his mouth open, pleads with Isabella Osa not to reveal herself, against a light blue background. The armored figure, standing with Isabella Osa and the shirtless man, suggests going home if there is no need for them to intervene, against a dark blue starry background. The shirtless man, with a white shirt, says, "Come with me," and Isabella Osa, in black armor, looks on as they stand in front of a crowd, against a dark blue starry background. Isabella Osa looks to the side as the shirtless man smiles and raises his fist, shouting, "Yeah! Victory to the White Dragon Knights!" against a dark blue background. The picture shows a tall, gray wall with a gate, green bushes, and a bright light shining from the top. Isabella Osa, wearing a blue shirt, sits on a horse while the shirtless man has his arm around her, smiling. They are near a forest. The picture shows a large circular city surrounded by a wall, water, and a forest, with mountains in the background. A description says it's the capital, located in the southern end of the mainland, and is comfortable to live in with plentiful resources. The picture shows a close-up of a gray brick wall with 2 cannons, with a description stating that Ayer's wall is protected by powerful cannons for physical defense. A group of sorcerers in blue robes and a glowing magic circle are shown, with a description stating that the wall is also protected by high-level sorcerers. A line of knights on horseback walk down a cobblestone street with buildings on either side, and a description mentioning a large group of people walking in the background. A man with short brown hair and a light blue shirt stares forward, with a woman with long white hair standing behind him. A description states that this area is protected by powerful guards. A man with a blue headband looks down at a market stall while a woman arranges items, commenting on the difference in clothing styles compared to the demon tribe. A man with gray hair and a woman with brown hair observe a group of men bowing to them, commenting on the respect given to knights in this settlement. The armored figure with blue hair and yellow eyes looks to the right as Isabella Osa and the shirtless man ride on a horse. The armored figure shouts, "Shang Yi, Yi Bei, here." The shirtless man smiles, looking down and sweating, while explaining that he couldn't let the armored figure know Isabella Osa's true identity. 2 young men in a comic panel discuss their names. One, with blue hair, appears stern while the other, with brown hair, smiles, explaining that his father changed his name. 2 men on horseback ride down a cobblestone street as 3 others follow, the man in the front asking if they remember their old names. The man in the back responds that he doesn't remember events prior to being captured. The man in the helmet asks the blue-haired man if he remembers his family, against a purple background. A man in silver armor on horseback looks shocked as he sees a man with blue hair and observes that he is royal family Tollsbury, against a blurry city background. 3 men stand together, The blue-haired man looks serious, and the red-haired man smiles widely. The black-haired man in gold armor says, "I can see." The blue-haired man gives a command to dismount and return to the palace, and then questions who the blue-haired man is, pointing at him. Another man notes that his clothes look royal. The shirtless man, with a smug look, comments that the blue-haired man looks like a dick against a gray background. A man in silver armor raises his hand and tells everyone to be quiet, explaining that the blue-haired man is the regent's first child. The shirtless man expresses surprise, asking if the blue-haired man has a higher position than a group leader in what appears to be a school hallway. The man in silver armor explains that the blue-haired man is the regent's favorite, and that one should never compare the royal family to their group. The silhouette of a person wearing a crown and another in a cloak suggests the background of the current ruler and the regent, explaining the regent's current authority. A man and woman argue. The woman with silver hair looks alarmed and the man tells her to stop talking or they will be punished. A man with long blue hair bows to a woman with long red hair, greeting her as, "Your Highness," in a house-like setting. A man with red hair smiles, commenting that he thought his father had returned when the gates opened, not just the useless white dragon team. A hand and 3 women with flowers and covered faces stand against a light pink background. A description says that the man had assembled a welcoming party. The red-haired man, with a serious expression, explains to the blue-haired man that the regent sent the white dragon team to sign an agreement with the demon tribe. The blue-haired man, looking down and to the right, questions why the regent was ahead of them at the agreement location. The red-haired woman explains that the king had a different plan, which was to kill the demon queen, against a light pink background. The red-haired woman, with red eyes, smiles and asks if the blue-haired man is questioning the king's decisions, against a gray background with black lines. The blue-haired man looks serious and says, "I was just," against a light blue background with hazy designs. The red-haired woman clarifies that the blue-haired man is wondering if the king's intentions were truly his own or the regent's, against a dark blue background. The blue-haired man, looking down, says, "Father," as a white-haired man with a mustache looks on, against a light blue and dark green background. The red-haired man smiles and asks the blue-haired man if he should have been accompanying the king while studying, while 2 armored figures stand beside him, against a stone pathway. The white-haired man with a mustache states that he came to welcome the regent back personally after hearing about his success, against a light blue and white background. The red-haired woman smiles and suggests that the white-haired man is likely here to interrogate the regent. The white-haired man laughs and denies that he would dare to interrogate the regent, against a light pink background with hazy designs. The shirtless man looks surprised and asks if the regent's father plays a significant role in the empire, against a light blue and white background. The blue-haired man explains that Master Guru is the sole imperial leader of the empire and is close to the king, against a light blue background with buildings. The black-haired man looks surprised, and the brown-haired man points to the right, explaining that the regent and Master Guru have different political views and strongly believe in their own opinions, against a dark brown background with yellow and orange colors. The shirtless man comments on the bickering and fighting of humans, asking if Isabella Osa has also been betrayed by her own people, against a dark blue background. A man with brown hair blows into a trumpet with an open mouth, against a light blue and white background. 3 men blow into trumpets against a blue sky and white clouds, standing on a blue wall. The white-haired man with a mustache states that the regent is definitely arriving as the city gates open, against a light blue background. The shirtless man, with a surprised expression, comments on the fact that they didn't get stopped when they arrived, explaining that it's because they're part of the White Dragon Squad, against a light brown background. A woman with blue hair looks left, against a light blue background with a wall, archway, and city. The shirtless man looks surprised, and Isabella Osa looks to the right with a serious expression, against a light blue background. Isabella Osa looks to the right with a surprised expression, saying, "That's," against a dark blue background. A silhouette of a man on horseback with a flag appears against a light orange background, suggesting the arrival of someone important. Isabella Osa, looking left and crying, has a sad expression, against a dark brown and black background with a distorted blue design. The shirtless man looks serious, and Isabella Osa places her hand on his shoulder, saying, "Don't go," against a dark blue background. A close-up of a clenched fist appears against a light pink background. The shirtless man looks surprised and sweats against a light blue and white background with hazy designs. A man with red hair and a beard, wearing a white shirt and red cape, stands beside the shirtless man and a horse. The red-haired man with a beard, looking right, threatens to make the white-haired man pay with his blood against a light gray background. The red-haired man, wearing a black and white shirt, rides a black horse with gold armor, while looking left, against a light blue background. The blue-haired man looks right, and many people are in the background. The red-haired man asks if Master Guro came only to welcome him against a cloudy sky. A man with long white hair, a beard, and a black and orange shirt smiles with his eyes closed, saying, "Your Highness did well," against a light beige background. The red-haired man explains to the white-haired man that the king can't rest yet, against a stone courtyard backdrop. The white-haired man, with a beard, says he would like to accompany the red-haired man to meet the king, against a dark room backdrop. The red-haired man, wearing a fur-lined cloak, smiles and agrees to go together, mentioning that he wanted to report the results to the king, against a blue sky background. A red-haired woman, with her arms outstretched, calls out to the red-haired man, saying, "Fa father, your son, I." As the man sits on a gold beast, looking down with a serious expression, against a cobblestone pathway backdrop. A red-haired woman appears to be smiling with her eyes wide, and a small bead of sweat on her forehead, as she says, "Bury," against a light gray background. A shadowy figure with glowing red eyes and a helmet warns the red-haired woman that he will kill her if she continues playing games, against a stormy sky backdrop. The red-haired man yells, "Leave," against a blue sky with white streaks. The red-haired woman smiles and says, "Understood," against a stone walkway background. A man with brown hair stands next to Isabella Osa, whose face is not visible, while she turns her back on him, against a town background. The man with brown hair looks confused and questions what Isabella Osa is saying, as a woman with white hair, wearing a blue hooded jacket, looks at him angrily, against a pink brick wall backdrop. A silhouette with red eyes and a red glow appears in front of a battlefield with torches and fire, explaining that in their world, there was a warlord named Cao Cao whose son became king. The shirtless man smiles at Isabella Osa, suggesting they focus on getting her out of her current predicament, against a white backdrop. The young man quickly declares that he will escape, but he won't allow her to leave. The shirtless man calls out to the armored figure, and Isabella Osa stands quietly. A man in silver armor, smiling, explains that their group leader is accompanying Master Guro to the palace and has asked him to escort Isabella Osa and the shirtless man to the leader's residence. The shirtless man smiles and agrees to the armored figure's request, as Isabella Osa stands with a stern expression. The shirtless man looks shocked as they stand in front of a large building, and Isabella Osa comments that the place is massive, against a blue background. The shirtless man is shocked as they enter a large room with a staircase and a statue. Isabella Osa comments that the place is so big it belongs in a museum. The shirtless man and Isabella Osa stand in a large room, and a woman in a blue dress introduces herself as Elena, the housekeeper, against a light beige backdrop. 3 women in maid outfits stand in front of a blue background with white flowers, introducing themselves as maids who are to take care of Isabella Osa and the shirtless man. The shirtless man looks wide-eyed and comments on the wealth of the owner and the presence of female butlers, against a pink background with hearts. A maid with gray hair and glasses smiles as she stands against a pink and purple background, offering food and rest to the shirtless man and Isabella Osa. The shirtless man, with a surprised expression, says he is hungry, and Isabella Osa, with a stern expression, asks if he finds it strange, against a light blue and pink background. Isabella Osa, with a confused expression, asks why the owner would treat them so nicely, against a beige background. The shirtless man, with a smirk, suggests they go with the flow, as they are probably safe for now, against a beige background. Isabella Osa agrees with the shirtless man's suggestion to go with the flow. The shirtless man, Isabella Osa, a maid, and another woman with glasses walk down a hallway. A maid with glasses stands with a serious expression against a dark gray background. A group of figures stand in a room with a throne, including Isabella Osa, the shirtless man, several maids, and a man on the throne wearing a crown and robe. A man wearing a crown smiles and addresses the armored figure, praising him as a respected warrior and offering him a reward for successfully negotiating with the Demon Queen. The red-haired man, with a beard and mustache, declines the reward, stating that fulfilling the king's wishes and sharing his responsibilities is reward enough, against a white backdrop. The red-haired man, with red eyes, expresses disbelief that the armored figure claims to be fulfilling the king's wishes, stating that what the regent did is a serious offense, against a dark gray background. The white-haired man explains that the king requested a truce with the demon tribe and sent the White Dragon Squad to represent them, against an orange background. The white-haired man, with a serious expression, explains that the regent rushed ahead and broke the deal by executing the Demon Queen, against a light blue background with white lines. The white-haired man, with a serious expression, explains that the king's reputation has been damaged, and there will be serious consequences, against a red carpet backdrop with a window in the background. The white-haired man, yelling, explains that if the Demon Queen returns, she will wage war against them, against a light orange background. The white-haired man, with a serious expression, states that the conflict will result in the loss of their people, against a light orange background. The crowned man smiles and questions why the white-haired man seems so passionate about this, suggesting other reasons, against a yellow and gold background. The red-haired man, with a beard and red eyes, requests permission to present a full report of what has happened, against a blue background. A woman with black hair and glowing green eyes smiles as she explains that after the truce agreement, she received a letter from Lillian, the Demon Queen's right-hand woman, against a dark green and brown background. A group of shadowy figures with red eyes stand in front of a blue background, explaining that Lillian claimed to have received support from her people in a letter, against a dark blue background. Lillian, seated on a throne, explains that she will lead the demon tribe and strengthen ties with the humans if they help dethrone Isabella Osa, against a red background. The red-haired man, with red eyes, states that the demon tribe has already accepted Lillian as their new leader, against a light blue background. The white-haired man, frowning, states that Isabella Osa is labeled missing, and the truce deal is now void, against a light blue background. The red-haired man, holding a contract, explains the agreement he reached with Lillian, and asks the king to review the document, against a gray background. A man in a black shirt and purple vest hands a contract to a crowned man, who smiles. The crowned man, sitting on a throne, looks down and comments that the armored figure has done well for the kingdom, but seems unhappy. A man wearing a crown and robe, sitting on a throne, smiles and states that the armored figure has done well for the kingdom. The white-haired man, with a serious expression, explains that the Osa clan has controlled the demon tribe for centuries and that the king looks concerned. The white-haired man, with a surprised and angry expression, questions how a traitor like Lillian could overthrow the Osa clan, suggesting something is wrong, against a blue background with white streaks. The crowned woman says that the white-haired man shouldn't speak further, and a white-haired man in a blazer stands on the bottom step of the stairs, looking away from the camera. The crowned man, with a drop of sweat on his cheek, states that he will allow the regent to carry out his plans as he wishes, against a yellow background. The white-haired man, with a concerned expression, says, I understand, against a light beige background. The black-haired man smiles and calls the armored figure a hero, as a red-haired man frowns. An older man with a white beard looks down, and a younger man with white hair looks to the left, asking if the older man is jealous, against a town square backdrop. Isabella Osa sits in a pool of water with her arms by her side, as water splashes from the left side of the image. A hand reaches up from the water, and Isabella Osa thinks that even if she returns to the demon tribe, they won't recognize her as queen. Isabella Osa, sweating, wonders if she will live out the rest of her days as a human. The shirtless man smiles and relaxes on the edge of a pool, saying that he can finally relax. The shirtless man looks serious, shrouded in light, and questions how he will return home. A hand holds a gold ring with a red jewel and wonders if it will take them back to their original world, against a light blue background. The shirtless man, submerged in a pool, says that he doesn't want to live in this world, against a white tiled backdrop. The shirtless man, lying on the floor, talks about being scared by the violence he witnessed in this world, while Isabella Osa stands behind him, against a dark hallway background. A man is held at sword point, while another man stands to the left, against a black and white background. The shirtless man wonders if he will return to his world if he dies. The shirtless man, with a worried expression, says he can't test that theory against a white and gray background. A hand is shown wearing a gold ring with a red jewel on the ring finger, and the shirtless man decides to try wearing it against a light blue background. A man is shown sitting in a bathtub, and he exclaims that he can't put the ring on against a gold-tiled bathroom background. The shirtless man, sitting in a bathtub with a golden ring on his finger, says that it only fits on his ring finger, while Isabella Osa looks on against a steamy bathroom background. Isabella Osa, standing in the bathroom, greets the shirtless man, saying, "Captain, you have returned," against a white-tiled bathroom background. A close-up of Isabella Osa's face with golden eyes shows her looking directly at the viewer. Isabella Osa, standing naked, invites the shirtless man to bathe with her against a steamy bathroom backdrop. An elephant runs towards the reader, with its trunk raised and its mouth open, against a plain backdrop with clouds. It says, "Mega Dick." The shirtless man's face shows a shocked expression, with his mouth and eyes wide open. He says, "Ah, so big. No. All right, let's bathe together." The shirtless man sits in a bathtub with Isabella Osa, looking at her against a bathroom backdrop. Isabella Osa questions the kind treatment of them by their new host, suggesting that he is dodgy, as the shirtless man looks on against a green wall. The shirtless man asks Isabella Osa if her host's scars are from battle against a bathroom backdrop. The shirtless man, sitting in a bathtub, wonders if he is being too optimistic, looking at the reader. Isabella Osa, sitting in the bathtub, asks the shirtless man if he's adjusted to this place, and wonders if their host is planning something against a bathroom backdrop. The shirtless man, in a white robe, assures Isabella Osa that he will send people to search for their families tomorrow, against a bathroom backdrop. The shirtless man looks surprised, with his mouth open, asking Isabella Osa if she is really offering to help them find their families, against a close-up backdrop. Isabella Osa, sitting in the bathtub, explains that the information the shirtless man gave was too little, and asks for more details about his family. The shirtless man, looking down, wonders if Isabella Osa is trying to expose him with his excuses, and says his memories of his past are hazy. Isabella Osa, looking at the reader, mentions a younger brother who was captured 12 years ago, and that she hasn't seen him since. Isabella Osa, with golden eyes, asks if the shirtless man knows someone named Safisik. The shirtless man, with purple eyes, looks at the reader, wondering if he should confirm or deny, and thinks about what might happen. The shirtless man explains that there are many slaves like him and that he wouldn't know every single one, against a bathroom backdrop. Isabella Osa, with golden eyes, asks the shirtless man what typically happens to those captured, against a close-up backdrop. The shirtless man, with purple eyes, smiles and explains that as slaves, they endured beatings and abuse regularly. The shirtless man tells Isabella Osa that he was raised in the kitchen, against a bathroom backdrop. Isabella Osa, with golden eyes, looks at the reader with a confused expression, saying, The shirtless man, with purple eyes, thinks that their host was being nice to get information about his brother. Isabella Osa, sitting in the bathtub, hopes that her brother is still alive. Isabella Osa, with golden eyes, hopes they can be reunited, against a close-up backdrop. The shirtless man, smiling, says that he hopes his words will cheer up his brother. He mentions that being a slave was terrible, but the food was good, against a bathroom backdrop. Isabella Osa, with golden eyes, says she hoped that after the peace treaty, all the human captives would be released, against a close-up backdrop. The shirtless man, with his mouth open, is shocked and asks if the demon tribe will execute all the slaves, against a close-up backdrop. Isabella Osa, holding her hand to her forehead, tells the shirtless man that the regent said the demon tribe has a new ruler, Lillian, against a bathroom backdrop. Isabella Osa, with golden eyes, explains that the two tribes had come to a peace agreement, against a close-up backdrop. A man with brown hair, wearing a black shirt, looks out a window, with a single tear on his cheek, and says that the traitor, Lillian, became the new ruler and that he needs to tell Isabella Osa. The shirtless man, sitting in a bath with a towel around his waist, looks surprised and says that the only person who can negotiate with the demon tribe now is the regent. The crowned man with brown hair, looking to the right, says that the regent and his father disagree on many things, making it difficult to gain help from the regent. A woman with blue hair, with golden eyes, looking right, agrees with the crowned man. A white-haired man, standing with a red-haired man behind him, explains that the regent's actions stemmed from his desire to do as the king requested. He says that if the king had not been his subordinate, the regent would have killed him. A silver-haired man, with yellow eyes, thinks that the regent wouldn't help someone like him, who is befriending the enemy, against a blue and white background. The shirtless man, with pink eyes, thinking, comments on the complexity of the situation, against a dark-shaded background. The white-haired man, with a stoic expression, says that the shirtless man is a nice guy and that positive karma will work in his favor, against a light-colored background. A blue-haired man, sitting in a bathtub, is told that he will surely reunite with his brother, by a black-haired man, against a white background. The shirtless man, with pink eyes, looks down, against a white background. Two men sit in a room, the blue-haired man looking in one direction and the brown-haired man in another. The blue-haired man thanks the brown-haired man for his kindness. Isabella Osa, with yellow eyes, smiles and tells the shirtless man to call her Sophies from now on. The shirtless man, smiling widely, agrees to call Isabella Osa, Sophies, against a light blue background. The shirtless man and Isabella Osa stand in a hallway with golden trim, looking down with worried expressions. The shirtless man says, "I feel like I'm going crazy." The shirtless man, with a smirk, thinks that Isabella Osa was right about their host, against a blurry blue background. A maid, with a smile, shows the shirtless man to his room, against a wooden door backdrop. The shirtless man smiles and thanks the maid, advising her to rest early, against a red carpet hallway backdrop. The shirtless man, blushing, says it would be a dream come true if the maid became his girlfriend, as he wraps a cloth around himself, against a light brown wall backdrop. A man with brown hair looks to the right, with a surprised expression, while a woman pulls a pink shirt over her head, against a light, airy room backdrop. The shirtless man, blushing, looks at Isabella Osa with a surprised expression, sweating and with a red nose, as she stands in his room, against a bedroom backdrop. Isabella Osa blushes and looks away with her mouth slightly open, against a cream-colored background. A hand with a gold ring on the index finger is shown twisting a doorknob, with a yellow flash coming from it. The shirtless man, with a towel around his waist, covers his nose while Isabella Osa opens a door, and he shouts, "Idiot!" against a bathroom backdrop. The shirtless man, covering his nose, asks Isabella Osa to stop using his real name because they're being watched, against a light blue background. The shirtless man looks surprised, with his mouth open and a bead of sweat above his eyebrow, as he says he was just talking with Isabella Osa. The shirtless man, with his right hand gesturing, explains that he was talking about the maid. A woman with teal hair and glasses looks at the viewer with a serious expression, explaining that the maid has been watching them since they arrived, against an undefined indoor backdrop. Isabella Osa, with a serious expression, stands in a hallway with an ornate door, explaining that as demon slaves, the humans won't trust them completely, and a silhouette peeks around the corner. The shirtless man, thinking, comments that the maid didn't need to put them in the same room, against a white comic book panel background. Isabella Osa, looking off to the side, says it's the shirtless man's fault that they're in the same room because he's been telling their host that they're married. The shirtless man, with a confused expression, wonders if the maid put them in the same room as a test to see if they are really married, against a light blue background. The shirtless man and Isabella Osa stand in a room with a door. The shirtless man looks worried as Isabella Osa faces the door. He warns that if they find out they've been lying, they will think they are spies for the demons. The woman quickly alerts the man to someone outside. The maid quickly tells her to stop. A woman smiles softly. A maid slowly walks down a long hallway. The woman quickly reacts to the man's happy news. The woman angrily threatens the man. The man nervously suggests an alternative. The woman quickly takes the bed, leaving the man on the floor. The woman yells a warning to the man. The young man confidently talks to the person. The man shyly denies the accusation. The man calmly asks Isabella a question. The young man asks if Isabella can send him back. Isabella sadly explains she cannot send him home. The man looks surprised as Isabella sleeps soundly. The young man realizes something important. The young man politely asks Isabella for her ring. Isabella quickly gives the man the ring. The man hopes the ring will send him home. The man tries to use the ring to go home. The man anxiously tries to go home. The boy listens carefully for a way home. The man sadly realizes the ring doesn't work, and Isabella sleeps soundly. The man angrily wonders if Isabella cursed him. The man sadly realizes the only way to go home. The man gently returns Isabella's ring. The man curiously notices Isabella sleeping. Isabella peacefully sleeps. The man thinks Isabella is cute. Isabella looks out at the night from a window. Isabella looks out at the city at night. The maid respectfully addresses the man. The man asks the maid a question. The maid explains why she was spying. The man complains about the heat. The man politely tells the maid not to spy. The maid explains her strange feelings to the boy. The boy happily calls out to his brother. The man guesses the identity of the visitor. The person curiously looks at something. The man happily shares his observation with the woman. The person asks if the boy is happy for him. The woman quietly agrees. One character gently holds another. Elena lies in bed with a serious look. The man asks Elena to stay. Elena blushes and looks down. Two people lie in bed together. Two people cuddle in a dimly lit room. The young man smiles faintly as he lies in bed. The man angrily threatens another. The man looks up in confusion. The boy wonders where Isabella is. The man greets Mr. Shang Yi. The man cheerfully greets the maid. The maid greets Mr. Shang cheerfully. The man offers the clothes to Mr. Shang. The man cheerfully greets the maid. The maid greets Mr. Shang cheerfully. The man offers the clothes to Mr. Shang. The man quickly puts on the clothes. He smiles. The man slowly walks through a large room. He quietly observes his surroundings. He quickly asks the maid about Isabella. She calmly explains Isabella's location. The man and the maid happily walk towards the gardens. The man and the maid happily walk towards the gardens. The man and the maid are surprised by the size of the gardens. The man happily thanks the maid for showing him around. He quickly points out a location to the maid. He carefully prepares to shoot his bow and arrow. He watches the man shoot the arrow carefully. He watches the man shoot the arrow carefully. The man quickly shoots a small star. The star hits the target perfectly. The target spins rapidly. The man with brown hair compliments the man with silver hair. He is impressed. The man with brown hair continues to express his amazement. The man with silver hair modestly declines. He invites the man to try. The man with blue hair agrees with the man with brown hair. He states that the man with silver hair is talented. He gestures to another person in the distance. The girl prepares to shoot her bow and arrow. The girl shoots the bow and arrow swiftly. The girl releases a small energy ball. The energy ball hits the target perfectly. Two other energy balls miss. The man with brown hair observes the girl's archery skills. He notes that her abilities change, but her technique remains strong. Someone scoffs at the man. They doubt his capabilities. The man expresses regret for his earlier words. He feels embarrassed. The maid calmly announces that breakfast is ready. Everyone slowly looks down. A delicious breakfast is prepared for them to enjoy. A man casually asks if they are used to living with the demon tribe. The man with brown hair happily replies that he is. He is enjoying himself. The man with brown hair and purple eyes politely thanks them, but still feels a bit uneasy about it. He wants to leave eventually. The man with white hair assures them that they are welcome to stay. The maid informs the man that she has assigned someone to help them. She explains to the man. The woman slowly explains how they can live more comfortably in the kingdom. The man smiles and quietly questions if they will have to live there forever. He wonders if the man will make them stay. The others quietly watch. The man quietly expresses his desire to live on their own again. The woman sadly agrees. The woman frowns and apologizes for causing trouble. The man calmly explains that it's not a problem and they should help the kingdom. He stares up and suggests they can find work for them. He gently adds that they can stay and work if they prefer. He smiles and expresses a strong desire to eat Shang Yi's cooking. He smiles happily, but appears to be in a difficult situation. The man with white hair yells in frustration, startling everyone. She angrily declares that she would rather return to the plains than work in the kitchen. He nervously whispers to her not to upset the man. He asks her what she is talking about. She explains that she heard stories about the kingdom while with the demon tribe. The two men quickly deny hiding anything, but the horned creature looms over them. The humans, fearful of constant attacks, searched for a powerful dragon to protect them. The dragon helped build towns and even taught them magic. The humans later adopted the dragon as their symbol. The kingdom maintains 7 armies, each with a different colored dragon emblem. The black and red armies are the strongest, and others protect the city walls. One man explains that joining the army is the best way out of poverty. He explains that people can join the army through training or a school diploma. The honored school regularly sends graduates to the king. Legends say the headmaster is very old, powerful, and has vast magical knowledge. It's said that the teachers, working together, could easily defeat thousands of soldiers. He expresses his desire to attend the honored school, shocking the woman. She yells that she doesn't care if she has to learn swordplay or magic. He looks up at the sky and states his desire to become stronger. He smirks, realizing that the school may be the only way back to the demon tribe. The man cautiously asks the woman if she's certain about her decision. The woman declares her desire for revenge, startling the man. He frowns and questions her statement. The man nervously warns them that revealing her plans could be disastrous, but agrees with her desire for revenge. He explains that they've suffered under the demon tribe and that killing them is the only way to free the captives. The man is shocked by the woman's intense desire for revenge and appears to be stopping her from doing something. They refuse to let her join the school because of her reasons. The woman questions the decision, while the man with blue hair looks at the seated man seriously. The man with blue hair tries to convince the others to settle down and find their families, but the man with purple hair yells. He calls out the woman's name in surprise. The man runs forward with a new reason, while the woman stands ready. He frowns and asks for the reason. The man yells that they are weak now, but can become stronger and help if they join the school. He explains that their father and the regent are fighting for the humans and they want to help as well. She worries, but believes that he is capable of convincing them. He hopes that his words will convince them. He angrily demands obedience, pushing the other man back. The man is surprised by the other's concern and worried expression. The woman looks off thoughtfully, while the man remains partially obscured. He sweats and smirks, proud that he convinced them. She calls out to the group leader, surprised, as the man looks on with a surprised expression. She explains that they are outcasts and their only hope is the school. He agrees to enroll them, seeing their potential and believing they can be valuable to the country. The boy is shocked by the news, surprised by the leader's decision. The woman explains that the leader is good at spotting potential. The man is shocked and surprised, as if about to be slapped. The leader suggests that they might have potential in culinary arts, surprising both of them. He denies this, feeling concerned and perhaps close to tears. The city is shown, possibly highlighting the importance of their potential contribution. The man boldly declares his ambition while the woman, with a crown and horse, stands with authority in front of a crowd. The leader explains that they can only join as late enrollment students due to the time of year, addressing the two men and woman. He excitedly asks if they can immediately start learning swordsmanship and magic. The man with silver hair explains that swordsmanship and magic are 2 of the 9 branches. He further explains that magic, swordsmanship, close combat, archery, and another branch are the main ones, showing examples of each. The woman explains the process of choosing a branch, while the man worries about his lack of skills. The man with white hair explains that the teachers will use a different method for initial testing. The person assures them that determination is key to passing the tests, even without prior knowledge. She instructs Achille to guide them to their guidance teacher. The man with brown hair recognizes Achille from a previous encounter. The leader, riding a horse, calls out to the woman, startling the man with brown hair. She asks if he is coming with them, catching him off guard. He explains that he needs to visit the king with his father. The man with blue hair explains that the academy provides accommodations if they pass the screening test. He tells the other man that he will take him back home and holds his hand. The teacher explains the concept of controlled striking, highlighting its difficulty. The man with purple hair questions the possibility of this technique, while the teacher looks serious. The bird angrily scolds the teacher for something. The man runs towards the birdcage, reacting to the bird's call. The man with a scar strikes a serious pose. The character, standing on a ledge, sadly confesses their inability to love. A powerful force throws the man with blue hair, creating a loud boom. Rocks fall from the sky during an explosion as the characters stand on a hill. The man with red eyes clenches his fist against a dark background. The small yellow creature chirps while being held in a hand. The chick looks around with a confused expression, wondering what happened. The man with blonde hair leaves with the bird, while the other man watches. The young man is shocked, while the other men react in surprise to a mysterious event. The man on the right observes the scene with interest, while others react in different ways. The young man smiles proudly, having shattered the statue with a single punch. The man in the white coat asks the others what they are there for, while the others maintain their positions. The man with brown hair apologizes for interrupting the class, sweating slightly. The man explains that he brought the new students for their entrance test. The men on the platform notice a girl in the crowd, drawing attention to her presence. The woman observes the girl with surprise, questioning her presence in the course. The older man greets the new student enthusiastically. The man with red markings sternly asks if they are there to learn close quarters combat. The man with blonde hair looks angry, startling the armored man. The three characters walk quickly through a blurred, nighttime sky. The woman with long blonde hair stares intently at something, her eyes glitching with color. The masked man stands with arms crossed, observing something. The woman stands confidently while the man in the lab coat examines the boy, watched by others on a stage. The men react with shock and fear to a powerful display, possibly magic. The man with brown hair and a mustache looks intently at someone, conveying a message. The man with brown hair and a red streak asks about visiting the teachers, while the woman and another man react with surprise. The man with a helmet addresses the girl, while the other man looks to the side. The man with brown hair and red markings declares that she will excel at melee combat. The woman with white hair politely expresses her preference for magic or swordsmanship. The man with white hair expresses disappointment, while the young man looks away. The man with gray hair looks at the man with brown hair, seemingly surprised or questioning. The man with blonde hair seems thoughtful, while another man looks at him. The man smiles, admitting that he found the teacher's power overwhelming. The man in the blue and white shirt mentions Zhang's experience with the teacher's power. One man reacts in shock while the other is surprised and biting his tongue, possibly at the king's power. The woman criticizes someone's weakness while the man looks at her in panic. The sun shines brightly in a clear sky. The man lies on the floor, surprised by something that just happened. The man with brown hair asks what just happened, looking at the other surprised man. One man expresses surprise at the absence of others, while the woman and others react with varying expressions. The man with blue hair explains that the other man was paralyzed by the teacher's fear ability. The man with brown hair expresses surprise and curiosity about the teacher's strength. The man with blue hair teaches the other man a new fighting ability, while the other man smiles in acceptance. The man with blue hair offers friendship, and the other man nods in agreement. A hand extends, possibly signifying a new beginning or a commitment. Shang Yi introduces himself and expresses joy at making a new friend. The man nervously thinks, he looks really strong, I'm sure he's just going to end up bullying me. Air shakes hands with the other man, smiling and saying, my name is Alex Air. Since you're so dead set on becoming my friend, you can just call me Air from now. Sure, Air. The woman smiles warmly at the man and says, I'll be at the combat class if you need to find me. The man with black hair waves goodbye quickly. The young man responds to the young woman, what do you mean, persuade? I just made a friend. The young woman stands firmly with her arms crossed. The man in blue armor cheerfully suggests, since you guys don't want to learn combat, let's go visit the swordsman and magic classes. The open-air training grounds are ready for their training. It quickly becomes clear that they will be training with a powerful technique. One man cheers loudly for his friend. A sword rapidly moves through the air. A woman in a blue dress is knocked back by a bright burst, and another woman quickly runs forward. A woman in black pants and boots moves quickly across the floor, leaving a trail of dust behind her. Someone spins rapidly inside a green orb. One woman angrily tells another to stop being aggressive. The other woman calmly sits on a green orb and replies. A woman with blonde pigtails angrily points and complains about the swordsman. One woman runs quickly, and another woman stands ready with a sword. One woman falls quickly, and another woman looks down at her. Two people cheer and celebrate, while a green light glows brightly. Three people excitedly raise their arms, anticipating the action. A man with red hair smiles and raises his fist, confidently telling others about his class. A man in a green cloak points out that the swordsmen are constantly using the practice field. Two men agree that the man with the green cloak is correct. A young man holds a book open and looks to the right, pondering something. A broom slowly sweeps up dust in a room. An older man frowns, annoyed that the room is dirty again. It's too late to stop the fight, as multiple women engage in combat. A young man holds a glowing green blade, ready to fight. A masked young man holds a sword, prepared for a fight. A man with black hair smiles mischievously, ready to join in. One person falls quickly, as green fireballs surround them. One woman leaps forward with a sword, while another woman rides on a green bubble. A woman with blonde hair casts a green ring of magic, hitting a man. A woman jumps backward, holding a glowing green circle, while a man moves quickly to the left. The scene fades to white. A man punches forward with his metallic gauntlet, using the magic of the abyss. One woman slashes with a sword, while another looks up in surprise. A woman yells in anger, expressing frustration. One woman looks surprised while another flies through the air with a sword. A bright light blasts outward, with multiple people flying through the air. The scene blurs, signaling a fast-paced transition. An elderly man uses his staff to create two beams of light. An old man looks down, seemingly in pain after an event. A man with a white beard leans back, emitting a bright yellow beam from his head. A young man kicks out with his leg and moves his hand forward. Someone kicks the ground, creating a yellow explosion. One man holds another in midair during a battle. A man with brown hair is sent flying backward. One man smiles and shares his observation about another man's eyes. A woman on the ground looks surprised while another woman rides a green bubble. An older man sits on the ground in pain, while a younger man looks worried nearby. A young man looks worried and asks if the older man is all right. The older man replies that he is fine and asks about the young man's well-being. A man with pink eyes looks off to the side, seemingly observing something. A man falls and yells in pain, his backside on fire. A man screams in shock, worried he might be injured. A young man looks shocked as a blade is held to his ear. A woman accuses a man of not being a student and points a sword at him. A woman asks if the man is trying to sneak into classes. A young man smiles mischievously and asks how the woman knows he's not a student. A man kneels with a confused expression and asks where someone has gone. A woman points a sword at a man while he points at the ground, mentioning a missing old man. A woman looks to the side, possibly hearing someone call her name. A woman calmly asks for peace, explaining the kneeling man's connection to Sophises. A woman looks surprised, seemingly recognizing someone. One man leans in and smiles at another, asking if Sophises is present. A man in blue armor is surrounded by blushing women, who are asking about his whereabouts. A woman with short black hair questions the man's presence and the presence of others with him. A woman explains that the new students haven't chosen a branch to learn yet. A woman expresses disapproval, questioning if Sophises approved of the new students. One girl asks if the school principal is aware of the new students, while another stands nearby. A man in armor smiles and shares that the principal has approved the team leader's request. A man with black hair looks to the left, possibly observing something. A woman with purple hair is complimented, while another woman stands with crossed arms in the background. A man with black hair and red clothes blushes, looking to his right. A woman and man stand close together, blushing and looking down, connected by a chain. A woman with blonde hair looks surprised, her hair blowing back as if running. Many people in blue robes stand in a circle in a large stone area. Three men stand together, with one commenting on a woman's appearance. A woman with red hair smiles and disagrees with the man's assessment of a woman. A woman introduces Shang Yi and another, and asks to see their powers. A young man looks surprised at the request to demonstrate his power. A woman pushes something away with her hands, while a sword with yellow energy sticks out of the ground. A woman asks which of two people will demonstrate their power first. A woman stands with crossed arms while a man looks over her head. A woman with short brown hair looks surprised and questions another woman. A woman with orange hair closes her eyes, seemingly deep in thought. A woman kicks a large green bubble while running through a cave. A hand reaches out and touches a pulsing sphere. A hand holds a glowing green sphere. A woman with blonde hair smiles and offers a glowing green sphere to another woman. One man greets another, while the second man looks at him. A young man smiles and asks about the purpose of the magic ball. One man asks another if he knows about the boundary force. A young man smiles nervously and explains he was with the demon tribe. A young man looks surprised, questioning if the boundary force is common knowledge. A man in armor explains that he will tell the young man about the boundary force. The man explains that the boundary force resides in all living things. He continues by saying that the boundary force isn't easily accessible. The man explains that to use the boundary force, a boundary point needs to be reached. The man says that the magic ball can reveal the boundary force within a being. A young man looks confused and asks about boundary power. The man explains boundary force using the analogy of a water cup. He clarifies that boundary power can be trained and is essential for magic and swordsman classes. He mentions that the demon tribe refers to it as magic force and the well of magic. He summarizes, stating that boundary force and magic force are equivalent. A woman with white hair offers a chance to compete in the arena while talking to another woman holding a sphere. Two young men smile and invite someone to join their magic class, highlighting the attractive men there. Two women express disapproval of the men's behavior, seemingly finding them immature. Someone explains that a weak light from the magic ball signifies average power and eligibility for the magic class. A young man looks to the left, contemplating what happens if the magic ball doesn't light up. A young man in armor frowns and explains that a lack of light means the woman will have to forego magic and swordsmanship. A young man with dark purple hair shares a cynical comment about the reason Sophies sent the woman to study. A woman and a man stand together, with the man expressing disappointment in a person's lack of potential. A woman with blonde hair looks ahead while a man beside her looks at her, with the woman silencing him. A woman's eye is focused on something, seemingly sensing something. People float in the air, seemingly surprised by an event, with a dark figure in a robot suit behind them. A woman with white hair holds a glowing blue sphere in a dark room. A young man looks surprised and off to the side, reacting to something. Two young men look forward with surprised expressions, seemingly impressed by something. A boy with orange hair expresses excitement and admiration for a girl's power. A woman with blonde hair calls her magic trick simple while showing a glowing orb, as another woman stands with outstretched hands. A woman with white hair and red eyes looks to the right while a child looks to the left, with a teal orb floating nearby. A young girl with blonde hair holds a glowing green orb and looks surprised, asking if someone has learned magic before. A woman explains that she has lost her boundary force and observes the other's great power. Two women smile and shake hands, with one accepting the other as a student. People cheer and point as two women shake hands, with one being welcomed into the class. One woman questions a decision, while another stands with a serious expression. A girl smiles while commenting on a person's potential compared to another. A man in armor comments on the woman's power, while another man looks at him. A man with brown hair smiles and proclaims that the woman's potential is still immense despite the loss of her magic force. One woman congratulates another on her special abilities, with a third woman standing nearby. A woman expresses doubt or disagreement, with others standing around a sword. A woman with white hair and red eyes holds a sword and expresses uncertainty. A woman with blonde hair looks confused, while another woman with black hair expresses confusion. A woman with silver hair holds a sword, expressing her uncertainty about which branch to study. A woman smiles and questions if the woman with silver hair intends to join both the magic and swordsman classes. A woman with white hair holds a sword and explains her swordsmanship experience. A man in armor smiles and mentions the magic teacher's praise, while a woman with white hair looks slightly confused. A woman with long white hair stares ahead with determination, declaring she wants to try. A young man suggests a test while standing amongst other students, including the woman with long purple hair. A man asks who will guide the new student, while another man walks away. A man with red hair volunteers to guide the student, smiling and holding a sword, while others react with different expressions. A woman with red hair smiles mischievously while another woman holds a sword and a third person walks with two swords. One man looks shocked while another smirks, seemingly anticipating a challenge. A woman declares that the match is just a test, with another woman crossing her arms and a third holding a sword. A man with red hair gives instructions for the upcoming match, while a boy looks shocked. A boy expresses surprise, warning others about the man's potential behavior. A woman with white hair warns a man to be careful and calls him annoying. A man with black hair declares that the match will begin. A burst of light appears in a dark sky, indicating the start of a fight. A man with red hair smiles and holds a sword, seemingly ready for a fight. A woman with white hair holds a sword while another woman falls to the ground. A man with red hair smiles sinisterly, while a woman stands with her shirt stretched tight. A girl with silver hair strikes another girl with a sword, creating a yellow explosion. A woman with white hair stands defensively against a man with red hair who charges toward her, creating a yellow glow on the floor. A woman with red hair swings a sword at a woman with purple hair, challenging her. A woman with white hair walks forward while three people fall through the air, suggesting a fight has occurred. A man swings a sword towards a woman with white hair who appears surprised. A woman with silver hair stands in a dark purple setting as a sword moves across the frame. A person with red hair swings a sword while kneeling, seemingly engaged in a fight with someone with white hair. A woman with red hair smiles mischievously and comments on the woman with white hair's abilities. A woman with silver hair and red eyes stands with a light purple aura, seemingly contemplating. A woman with white hair and red eyes looks down, possibly lost in thought. People react in surprise and admiration as a man and a woman with purple hair face each other with swords. Three men stare in admiration at another man, impressed by his fighting style. A man in silver armor smiles and throws another man towards flames, while the man in white yells in surprise. A woman with white hair laughs while holding a sword, while a man with red hair raises his hand. A woman with white hair holds a sword while another woman with red hair attacks, warning about the dragon race. Two women stand with serious expressions, one about to punch the other with a sword. A woman with white hair punches a man with red hair, making him recoil. A woman with red hair swings her sword with force, while another woman with white hair defends herself. One woman runs toward a man who stands in a fighting stance, seemingly preparing for a final attack. One woman with white hair runs towards another woman with red hair. A woman with red hair swings her sword, aiming at someone off-screen with anger and an explosion of light. One person with blue hair runs away from another person with red hair, seemingly in a chase. Two blades collide, creating a bright explosion in a dark background. A woman with white hair and red eyes holds a sword, deflecting another attack. They are both ready to fight. One has long white hair and the other has long red hair. They move quickly outdoors. He quickly strikes her with a sword. She powerfully kicks forward. She sweats profusely. She swings her arm and asks, "Huh?" She angrily swings her sword. He looks shocked and says, "That ability is." She swings her sword and says, "I won't let you escape." She frowns and says, "Shit. I don't think I can keep up for much longer." She angrily looks forward. A hand holds a sword with a blue eye on it. She smiles and says, "I have won." She stares intensely. He smiles cruelly and says, "He he he." He swings his sword and she looks to her right. She stares stoically. He yells, "Ya Bei." She swings her sword and says, "Don't worry." He gets hit by a yellow attack. He smirks and says, "Ice field." A blast of energy moves toward the magic circle. She reaches toward the symbol and he stands behind her. She scowls and says, "Lay in." He carries her and says, "It's a secret." He stands ready and the legs stomp, saying, "You're wrong." He asks, "Are you all right?" He touches him on the shoulder. He thanks him for saving his wife. He thinks, "Wife." He asks, "W what? Wife?" She looks down and he asks, "Are you okay?" She asks, "Hey, are those two really married?" He smiles and says, "Sigh, you should have said so earlier." He talks to him and she walks away. She smiles and says, "I used it out of self-defense." She smiles and he frowns. He introduces Torst Lay N. She smiles. He closes his eyes and says, "I will try my hardest to become stronger." He asks her to show him the way and he bows. She says he learned his skills from Mochia. She says, "That's right." He holds his sword and says he is the god of swords. They are surprised by her skills. She explains that she also trained under Mochia. He smiles and says her skills are stronger than Mochia's. He smiles and says she'll be his student. They celebrate and make comments. He questions the celebration and agrees with him. He smirks and says she's not as good as him. She says she's powerful. She argues with him about her being his student. He says she's better with swords. She says it depends on where she wants to go. She says she's conflicted. She challenges him to a fight. He asks to be tested. He looks at her in disbelief. He smiles and says he wants to be tested. She points and the orb spins. He says it's not possible and the orb floats. He smiles and holds a sphere. He looks determined. He holds an orb and says he wants to bring peace. He smiles and says he'll blind everyone. He wonders if he's stronger. He's surprised there's no light. He holds the orb in front of a crowd. He sweats and wonders why nothing is happening. They laugh at him. She looks at the bubble and says he's useless. She says she only tested him to show his failure. He explains what useless lumber is. He looks down and says he won't be able to learn magic or swordsmanship. He stands with the armored man. She explains that you need boundary force for magic. She says he can learn swords, but not defeat those with boundary power. They stand in a room together. She looks down and asks if there's another way. She laughs and asks what he doesn't understand. She smiles and calls him brain dead. He tells him to leave. He looks to the right and understands. He suggests culinary arts. He's shocked and she's surprised. She tells him to call him trash again. She asks if he wants to fight again. He smiles with his eyes closed. He smiles at his wife and says he's useless lumber. He asks her if he's right. She pushes him away and he smiles. They agree to visit other branches. He tells her to stay and study. He smiles and says she can achieve anything. She suggests returning to her class and she argues. They argue about which class she should join. She stands with her arms crossed. They stand in front of a castle. She flies on a broom over a city. He looks shocked and says, "So, dude." He's concerned about not having boundary force. He asks if he can still join the school. He says suitability matters more than the branch. He says he can only choose non-combat branches. He worries about becoming a chef. They arrive at a new branch. He's surprised to see a new branch. They learn it's the forging branch. They see the forging branch and a sword on a platform. He asks if they're describing the subject. He says no and looks at a piece of paper. They criticize the diagrams. He draws in a book and he looks to the right. A hand draws a sword on a pad. He smiles and says it looks ugly. He's surprised and asks, "What?" He sweats and frowns while she holds a paper and he looks at her. He asks what branch they're from. He introduces himself and gets interrupted. He apologizes repeatedly and sits with the others. They question why forgers need to draw. He's surprised and gets called out for his lack of knowledge. He's surprised and looks to the right. He introduces Ashstone Martin. The students greet Mr. Martin and he looks down at the boy. He tells them to continue drawing and they're impressed by his physique. He says the forgery branch can create anything. He explains the boy's lack of knowledge. He smiles and understands. He smiles sword hilt. He presents the swords to the group. He's surprised and asks about the magical brush. He steps hard and creates an explosion. He says you need gold alloy crystals and holds a sword. He's surprised and asks if it can create guns. He looks off to the side and asks about gold alloy crystals. He smiles and says even kids can use it. He holds out his hand and says the crystals have different grades. He smiles and says his pen is made of a special crystal. It creates items out of thin air. He says it's overpowered and holds a sword. He asks if it requires boundary force. He laughs and says no. He's shocked and gets pushed forward. They say boundary force isn't important and agree. He tells him not to mention boundary force. He whispers that most are useless lumber. He smiles and the armored man doesn't react. A person kneels and shivers. He looks down at the boy and asks what's wrong. He asks if the boy wants to learn smithing. He smiles and says he's useless lumber. They look surprised. He smirks and holds a rectangle. A hand draws a person. He looks up and is surprised to see the swordsmanship teacher. He's surprised and sweats. He shows his drawing and the man looks at it. He smiles and says he's skilled. He smiles and praises him while he's surprised. He says he only has drawing skills. They discuss the importance of craftsmanship. He smiles and says it sounds powerful. He tells him there are rules and he's surprised. He explains the 3 rules of forgery. He looks over his shoulder and assumes the teacher is kind. He says he won't regret studying with him. A person kneels on the ground. He asks to be accepted as a student. He says the boy is friends with the White Dragon team leader. He smiles and says the boy is skilled and well connected. He smiles and says it won't be needed. He says he won't miss the opportunity to have him as a student. He welcomes him as a student. He introduces the Laura crystal pen. He hands the pen to the bald man and tells him to take care of it. He smiles and says it looks magical. It's the royal palace. A man stands in front of such ideas. He says he sent a crew to gather information. He says the Minister of Agriculture was comfortable with Eastern creatures. He says the Grey Dragon team leader was distributing rations to them. He argues that the actions deserve punishment. He yells that they were considering aiding the East. He says it would aid them and create a good relationship. He looks confused. He looks down and says the East is full of mindless beasts. He says this wasn't reported to the king. He says they didn't have time to report. He says those creatures are inferior. He says, "May your highness." He says it's too late. He orders the captives brought in. A silver chain lays on marble. The captives are dragged in. He smiles and explains his actions. The king recognizes Mochia. He greets the regent. He asks why he went to such lengths. He says, "Open it up." A hand opens a box. A hand opens a box. A man is slammed into a box. A man lays on the floor covered in blood. She stares intensely and he looks away, worried. He says the king has a kind soul. He smiles and says he'll do the dirty work. She looks at him in surprise. He asks about the other person. He looks at the red-haired man and asks why he would do that. A hand breaks a chain. The woman pulls on chains and the man kicks. He tells the muscular man to beg for mercy. He calls Mochia pathetic. He says the human tribe is the slyest. He says, "Beru." He says he didn't expect things to get so bad. He advises the king to stop. She's shocked and speechless. He smiles evilly. A hand holds a chain. He glares angrily. He says he can move again. He says his boundary force is returning. She orders the capture of the escaped prisoners. The reptilian humanoid slowly turned its head towards them. The beast roars in anger. A fist strikes down. The monstrous figure falls backward. The monster jumps towards the king with a sword. The creature attacks the man in white robes and he blocks. He looks down and says not to be disrespectful. The creature lowers its head and says sorry. "Are you all right, your highness?" A man asks, concerned. A hand reaches out. The creature attacks the man in white robes and he blocks. He looks down and says not to be disrespectful. Sophises. A woman quickly kicks the large, muscular man in the side. The legs walk quickly. A shadowy figure and a silhouette fight. "You are not worthy of your title of swordsmaster if you die by my sword. Let me put you to sleep." The creature lowers its head and says sorry. "Are you all right, your highness?" A man asks, concerned. The man stabs the creature quickly. The creature looks angry. The man stabs the creature quickly. The creature looks angry. The young man sits on his throne, worried. The man walks away slowly from the throne room. So, this has been your plan all along. The elderly man sweats nervously. The two men stand silently in the hallway. The man smiles. The man smiles. I'm leaving, let's go, he says quickly, and walks away with another man. The man in blue and white looks off to the side in surprise. Huh? We're finally here, the man with silver hair says, looking at a glowing blue archway. It's one of those portals that you see in video games, the woman says quickly, walking into the portal. Hey man, a man says quickly to the surprised man in blue, white and gold. Hey man, a man says quickly to the surprised man in blue, white and gold. Where do these portals lead into? These portals transfer students from the academy to their residence, the man in blue armor explains slowly. The eastern residencies are a bit better in terms of facilities, so rent is a bit more expensive there, the man in white and yellow says quietly. Mr. Shang Yi, if you wish to continue studying at this school, you'll have to live on the campus, the man in silver and blue says firmly. Sophie says is a great guy and all, but he gives me these weird stares every once in a while, the young man says nervously, looking at the man with white hair. The young man smiles. Why don't you start heading back? Please thank Sophie says for me, he says quickly. The team leader has arranged everything for him already. The hand held up the tag with the number 103. And this keys for? The man asks, pointing at the two keys. The team leader already asked for you to be transported back if you don't wish to live here. If you do decide on staying, I'll sort out living arrangements with you, he says seriously. There is residence within Eastern Hall. Sophie says is a really good guy. The emperor is looking at the man in gold armor. Father, do you think His Highness will listen to us? The young man asks seriously. The Minister of Agriculture and the Grey Dragon team leader are his best men. Then he'll tear up the entire plains to prove him wrong. Two men with long blue hair stand facing a doorway. Leader, the man in the white robe says quickly. Mr. Guro has things to discuss with His Highness, please let him know, the man says seriously. His Highness had an idea that Mr. Guro would come. It seems like His Majesty and the woman are on the same page. A man in gold armor stands with his arms crossed. Leader, His Majesty requested that only Mr. Guro and him were allowed in the room, the man says quickly. Is this what His Majesty wanted? The man asks worriedly. Yes, the man replies. Sophie says, wait here for me, the man in black says quickly. A man with long silver hair stands in the darkness. The man in black walks into a doorway. Your Majesty, the man exclaims angrily. The man walks quickly through the room. His Majesty isn't here, the man says sadly. I organized for His Majesty to practice horse riding and archery, the man explains sternly. I can't believe it, the man with red hair says quietly. I hope whatever happened today didn't scare you, the man says softly. The man with white hair and beard looks worried. Three birds fly in the distance as the sun sets over the castle. A golden lamp burns brightly on the wall. Well, that was a bit awkward, the man says quietly. The man with silver hair stands in the room seriously. The man's face is shadowed, but a large white smile appears. Don't play dumb with me, the man in gold says angrily. Sato, the man calls out with a smirk. Why are you here, Sophie says? The man asks curiously. You've always entered battle leading your White Dragon team, the woman says sharply. But I don't think you're aware that the White Dragon team used to be strictly commanded by His Majesty, the man says smiling. The White Dragon team was formed to protect His Majesty anyways, what's so strange about who leads it? The man asks frowning. His Majesty is still very young, the leading of the White Dragon team should naturally fall under the regent, the man says smiling. A man with white hair and yellow eyes stares intently. I am the one who is being chased, the man says desperately. Shit, the man exclaims. A man stands with a gold armband on his arm. If you're thinking about entering, the man says smirking. You'll be risking your life, the man says with a grin. Are you all finally going to hurt my father? The man asks angrily. The man smiles sinisterly. Ha ha ha, the man with dark hair laughs loudly. So what? The man asks smiling. The regent is in control. Every move you make is controlled by us, the man says laughing. A man quickly draws his sword. Why would we specifically kill him today? The person asks with a sinister smile. What are you planning to do with him? The young man asks. At this moment, Guro is only your father. You don't even have any command over anybody, the man says mischievously. A touch of the heavens. Realistically, you've got potential to become a hero. Are you content with just being a chummy team leader? The man asks. You had the courage to attack my father. I will have no mercy as I hack you to death. The man yells angrily. Don't worry, the regent only wants to show Guro the true state that the capital is in, the woman says slyly. The true state of the capital? The man asks curiously. HMPH, the person replies with a cruel smile. Just leave and go rest. I assure you that Guro will be safe, the person says reassuringly. Although, if you really wanted to hack me to death, the person says darkly. I'd really want to see you try, the man says grinning. The man with light blue hair stares ahead seriously. The Western Campus residence stands tall against the night sky. The Western Campus looks really fancy. I still remember my old school's campus, the boy says happily, pushing open a large door. The man opens the door, and a woman stands beside him. The woman with white hair adjusts the strap of her pink dress. What the fuck? Why are you in my room? Huh? Why haven't you hit me yet? You've seen more than this already. How does this count for anything? You've seen more than this already. How does this count for anything? It must be the guy from earlier that put us in here together. You're such a wingman. I love you. I don't understand the intention of these humans, but they are taking good care of us. Whatever we need is already prepared for us. We're outside the central area. Why don't we just make a run for it? Don't be stupid. The academy keeps good track of their students. They'd know if we went missing. The magic teacher told us that the West and North Campus are both protected by a magical force field. So what's our plan? My powers are completely depleted. I have to stay here until I get stronger. The demon clan chooses their leader based on the strength of their powers. If I don't reclaim any of my strength, there won't be a point of me going back. They wouldn't accept a weakling as their leader. They sound pretty mean. But don't you worry, you have me. I'll bring you back to your tribe, defeat the betrayer, and make you the leader once again. Oh? I found my perfect branch of education, it's forgery. If forgery is properly practiced, it's bound to be powerful. Is that so? What about you? Did you pick swordsmanship or magic studies? I wanted to build up my strength again, so I chose to learn both at the same time. Both teachers accepted my decision to do so. So, you're basically a magical swordsman. Magical swordsman? How did you come up with that bullshit? That's right, magical swordsmen are people who utilize magic and sword in combat. Do you guys not have them here? Magical swordsman. That sounds pretty interesting. Why are you on the bed? I'm just acting, since we are married after all. HMPH. It's all your fault calling me your wife in front of all the P. She's really cute when she's shy. I'm only saying all of this so that I can keep all the thirsty guys off your back. You attract attention too easily. Then I thank you for that. Don't worry, we are married after all. Arg. Do you want to commit murder in this marriage? Get off. TSSH, I'd be dead even if I tried to hide from her. Don't you feel a little tired? This thing can make whatever I draw a reality. I wonder what limits are there to creating objects. She is looking up slowly. The character is standing quietly. The person's eye glares intensely. The woman quickly strikes with the sword. Who are you? The woman with white hair asks, holding the sword tightly. She looks up at the shadowy figure. And why are you in my dorm? The woman stands near the window, a sword in her back. She says, looking surprised. The woman lies on the bed, her expression a mixture of confusion and shock. Is this a stone statue of me? Where did this come from? The woman on the floor exclaims, looking ahead. She is surprised to find herself on the floor. She looks surprised. This must be the idiot's doing, she says angrily. The woman stands in the middle of the room, looking at the destruction around her. She looks at the large cannon and the tipped-over fridge. The woman looks around the room and asks, what are these weird shapes? I must have been tired yesterday. He probably made such a loud noise, and even then, I didn't wake up. She cries softly. She quickly walks down the hallway and turns the doorknob. It's okay. I'll just call my sister. I'll tell her to give me some more money, she says to herself. The woman walks quickly away from the man on the ground. The man with blue hair looks curiously at the car. Look over there, she says, pointing quickly. The robot walks slowly and steadily towards them. I'll deal with you severely when you get home this evening, the woman with white hair shouts. Ha ha ha, a few people mumble. It's late already. Why is Shang-Yi not here yet? The muscular man asks curiously. Teacher, would you like me to go call him? The boy asks politely. No need, let's begin classes. The man says seriously. I'm so sorry I'm late. The bell rings loudly. He rides his bike quickly down the road. The man rides quickly past them. Shang-Yi, what is that thing? The boy asks curiously. Shang-Yi, what is that thing? The boy asks again. Is this some sort of new rich kid's toy? How am I supposed to explain this to them? He shouts. This is my new invention. It's called a bicycle. It can also be called a pedal bike. I've only ridden a horse carriage in the dwarf tribe's steam engine before. But it's the first time I'm seeing a human-powered mode of transportation. He says excitedly. Shang-Yi, Shang-Yi, he exclaims in surprise. Can we try it please? He asks tentatively. Of course, go for it, he replies enthusiastically. Plop, the man lands on the bike awkwardly. Sorry about that, I couldn't control myself, he apologizes sheepishly. It's all right, we can wait, he says kindly. Shang-Yi, how do you use this thing? He asks curiously. Let me hold you so you can find your balance, he offers helpfully. Put both of your feet down on the pedals and push forwards. He tries to follow the instructions. Take it slowly, pedal with your left and then follow it up with your right. He explains patiently. Arg, I'm going to fall, he shouts as he tumbles off the bike. Shang-Yi, you're incredible, this thing is really hard to operate. It's difficult initially, but once you've gotten the hang of it, you'll be able to ride it with ease. He says encouragingly. Use a little more strength and go a bit faster. Find your balance too, he instructs. Just like that, he exclaims proudly. Shang-Yi, what are you doing? Don't worry about it, you've got to learn through experience, he explains calmly. Yeah, go teacher, they cheer excitedly. He struggles to maintain balance. He moves slowly forward, looking down at the handlebars. Shang-Yi, I think I got a hang of it, he laughs. He's got the technique down already. This bicycle thing is great, he exclaims excitedly. This invention will probably influence many generations to come. Just wait until I invent the combustion engine, he chuckles. Shang-Yi, how do you stop this thing? He asks worriedly. Fuck, I forgot to draw brakes onto the damn thing, he yells frantically. What did you say? They ask curiously. Slam, the birds land on the branch. Sorry about that, I played around for too long, he says apologetically. It's all the teacher's fault, he exclaims in shock. Such a great invention, now destroyed, he sighs sadly. I wanted to observe it so I could make my own. Really? He asks curiously. What are you waiting for? Draw it already, he urges. I can't draw it now, he says sadly. I expended the gold alloy stone already, he explains quietly. What? They exclaim in surprise. You used the whole stone in an evening? That stone was sufficient to construct an entire house, he says excitedly. I was experimenting last night with the pen, he says sheepishly. Obviously, I couldn't tell them what I was drawing, he explains with a smile. The pen functions by thought. You only need to draw a simplistic drawing to create what you want, he muses. But the teacher said that a high-level gold alloy stone was needed to create larger structures without any input material. This entry-level stone needs the same amount of material from the world to create my items, he says. The first thing I drew was a phone. She sits on the balcony, looking out at the water. But the phone I created was unusable, he admits. Because I simply don't know the mechanisms that allow a phone to function, he explains thoughtfully. This was followed by a TV, fridge, car, etc. All unusable. So, you drew a bunch of experimental creations, he teases. What sort of things did you draw? He asks curiously. Haha, don't worry about it, they were all flops, he says smiling. The group quickly lines up for forgery class. He smirks at his reflection in the mirror. What's up with that face? He asks, looking down. The picture frame falls quickly. He holds the case open quickly. It has the power to defy fate. The hand presses the button on the staff, and a blue light surrounds it. We're almost out of stones, one says. Please use them conservatively, another replies while handing a thin wooden rod to a boy. Fantastic, I can continue my experimentation, he says with a smug smile. I ask you all to practice drawing because it makes you all better forgers. Today, I'll teach you all how to tell the difference between different gold alloy stones and their uses. The students quickly sit down in their seats. Sit down, sit down, sit down. The teacher is about to begin his lecture. One quickly looks at another. The hand firmly grasps the metal handle. He carefully opens the large, orange suitcase. The world is waiting. The hand presses the button, and the box quickly opens. Activate. The toolbox slides open, revealing the metal knives and a silver ring. The case has 3 layers, each filled with different tools and liquids. The toolbox is full of glowing blue discs and paintbrushes. Do you know why we put the stones into pens instead of using them straight as they're for our forging needs? He holds a pen up and smiles. It's because the power of the stones is too great, using them as is will be difficult to control. One nods in agreement. It'll also harm the user. He looks concerned. That's right, the man nods slowly. 2 decades ago, I used to visit the dwarf tribe often to improve my craft. He smiles while looking at a reflection. A man with long hair stands before a group, holding a weapon. They already embedded the stones within hammers to use as forging tools. The items that were forged from this tool were beautiful yet durable, but the user would suffer bodily harm. The hammer glows with purple light. Afterwards, I thought of maturing the stones so that they could be used on smaller tools. He speaks seriously. After large amounts of research, I found a great way of controlling the stone's powers. He stands confidently. Creating objects by drawing them. This is the root of forgery? Why do I feel like as if something is lacking? He looks confused and a little troubled. Teacher, where do the gold alloy stones come from? One raises his arm and asks a question. There is a stone mine in the east border of the capital. All the stones we use originate from there, he answers calmly. Teacher, I heard that the mine is also the Golden Dragon's area of residence. One raises his hand and speaks with surprise. That particular dragon is dangerous compared to other organisms. That's right, that's right. One looks at another, seemingly concerned. If we kill the dragon, doesn't that mean we can acquire a large pile of these stones? He sweats nervously. This is why His Majesty specifically tasks the Purple Dragon team to gather the materials. He explains calmly. They're responsible for bringing back the stones and refining them. They sell them afterwards for military funding. He looks to the side, thinking. The hand grabs a small, glowing blue object from a tray. This stone here costs around 10 golden coins. Whoa, that's expensive. So, every day, we carry 10 gold coins with us. They all look shocked at the price. Moto, what can I get with 1 gold coin? One rests his arm on another's shoulder and asks a question. 1 gold coin can be exchanged for 10 silver coins. Aren't you the genius? One smiles proudly while the other beams happily. How much food can you get for a gold coin? How many people would it feed? He asks with a mischievous grin. 1 gold coin will be enough for about 50 bags of food, but 1 bag is sufficient for an adult for an entire month. He smiles knowingly. 1 gold coin is equal to 50 bags of rations. That means it's enough for 50 people to eat for a single month. He looks shocked at the realization. The young man looks worried and sweaty. Which means that you expended 500 people's monthly worth of rations in a single night. One smiles while another frowns in disapproval. These crystalline stones are the lowest tier of gold alloy stones. He holds up a gem for all to see. Crystal stones are the lowest of the low, medium-level stones go up to 50 gold coins for a single stone. He shows two shiny, crystal stones. These stones have 3 of the lower-tiered stones combined together. The magic aspect stacks and the stone contains 3 times the magical power of the lower-tiered stones. The only benefit of having these is that they work a bit more efficiently than the lower-tiered stones. They do have an extra function which allows them to be priced at a higher rate. He smiles knowingly. But we don't really find the need for the extra function. He looks to the side, smirking slightly. These here are the high-tiered gold alloy stones. The spheres shine brightly in the display case. These must be expensive. High tier. The middle tier is already worth 50 gold coins. They look surprised at the prospect of the high-tier stones. At some rare intervals, they tend to find these high-tiered stones. The aqua-colored stone is called the aqua magical stone. It's priced at 100 gold coins. He points to the sphere in the glass box. 100. They all look surprised at the price. The aqua magical stone has water and wood properties. You can use any scrap wood to forge items that result in high-quality wood. This is generally used for the repair of wooden items. This purple stone is called the purple bolt stone. It harnesses the element of electricity. The stone can use strokes to cut down items. It can also be used to calibrate items that are out of sync. The value of this stone is 300 golden coins. The spheres of light showcase different properties. I haven't seen this much money in one place since birth. Is the teacher rich? He looks around in disbelief, sweating slightly. These expensive items aren't used very often. He explains calmly. Rich magicians would embed these 3 stones on the top of their staff and would use them as substitutes when their magic runs dry. The fire crystal stone summons balls of fire. The purple bolt stones can summon thunderstorms. The aqua magical stone can summon waves of water. He explains, looking thoughtful. So, even someone without boundary force can manipulate magic like magicians if they use those stones. Now, I'm going to start talking about the pale moonstone that's on my pen. He gestures towards his pen, explaining the next topic. These are considered ultra-rare alloy stones within the entire human tribe. I am the only one that holds this stone. He beams with pride. This thing must be worth at least 10,000 golden coins. I think you're right. They all look amazed at the value. This stone doesn't need any input material to forge items through drawing. He explains, looking intrigued. If I could own a stone like that, I could probably take over this entire world. He laughs, imagining the possibilities. You're the only one. The woman offers grapes to the man on the throne. When I was young, I studied forgery with the dwarves. The dwarf tribe is a very shut-off location. He looks back on his past while standing in a barren landscape. They tend to not communicate with any other tribes. A blonde woman addresses a group of men. But they saw the determination for knowledge within me and took me in as one of their students. A man gently touches a woman's head in a gesture of acceptance. We also invented a new method of forgery together. The dwarf tribe only has 4 of these pale moon stones. The book glows faintly, illuminating the scene. Because of my achievements, I was rewarded with one of the stones. One hands a shiny object to another in a dimly lit room. I'm gonna die. One looks at another in shock and fear. Whoa, that stone must have been a really expensive gift. If the stone is that powerful, doesn't this mean that the dwarf tribe is more powerful than the demon tribe? He ponders the implications of the stone's power. The power of the pale moon stone is infinite. It does not require any input material to forge to your heart's content. He explains with open arms, emphasizing the stone's incredible ability. But the price to pay for using the stone is that it will extract consciousness from the user. Consciousness. Teacher, if you're built like that, the effects of the stone shouldn't be that effective on you. Our teacher suffered greatly for the benefit of the kingdom. Look at the photo on the wall. The man in the photo is really handsome. What does he have to do with the teacher? Why? You guys don't seem to understand. That's the same teacher from 10 years ago. What? No way. How is he similar to the teacher apart from the eyebrows? He's right, that is me. He stands before the crowd. A man stands at the bottom of the stairs. He looks straight ahead. He sighs. The carriage is stationary. He opens a door. Your father. He runs towards the carriage. What's wrong, father? He looks serious. Did they hurt you? He slaps the person's cheek. Leave me. It's all over. Everything is over. Over. All over. Father, ha ha ha. What did they do to you? Ha ha ha. No one can change it. Ha ha ha. Ha, 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 ha. She stands ready to fight. The person is out of focus. She moves quickly. She spins, swinging her sword. She runs, deflecting arrows. She swings her sword, deflecting arrows. She stands amidst broken arrows. Well done. The woman with black hair smiles. She covers her face. I was already better than this before, it's just that I feel more fatigued now when in motion. She hums thoughtfully. Remember to practice some more when you leave here. You study swordsmanship for half the time compared to these guys. Understood, I will practice hard. Wait, you're not Miss Dorona and Miss Wadley? What are you both doing in my dorm room? Huh? The hand grasps the arm. They're stone statues. Is it good? How did you give color to the stone statues? In the future, I'll create many more things that you've never seen before. The hand moves a sheet of paper. What's all of this? Oh, these are what Teacher Martin gave me. It's blueprints of what he brought back from the dwarf tribe. The woman holds the orb. It seems like the knowledge of the dwarves has already surpassed the demon tribe by miles. They already discovered the steam engine and its application in trains. The teacher saw that I was interested in experimenting with new ideas, so he gave these blueprints to me. Ah, the woman kicks the man. With you creating all these structures, aren't you afraid of exposing your identity? Why would I be afraid? None of the people in this world know what I'm forging anyways. Ahaha, the hand holds the man's ear. What was with that statue next to the bed yesterday? I would wear such expressions. What are you hinting at here? I just wanted to see if I could make drawings come to life. If you had tried it already, why would you make these statues too then? I wanted to experiment with colors. HMPH, you're just human trash. Let me explain. Bang. The next day, he has a serious expression. I've already figured out the steam engine. If I can alter the design, I might be able to make myself a car. And if I keep on developing it, maybe. One day, that lady will know my full strength and potential, ha ha ha. Huh? He looks to the right. What are we going to do? I don't know. So you were the one who stole from me. Shang Yi. What happened here? Our teacher went into the gold alloy mine. Last night, the teacher and I went to the Purple Dragon team's base to purchase some stones. But we didn't know that the prices were raised. What did you say? All alloy stone prices are increasing threefold? That's right, but if it's Teacher Martin shopping for these stones, I'll draft. The gold alloy stones are the most important resource to the kingdom. If the prices inflate, how are forging smiths supposed to survive? That's right, we have followed Teacher Martin's pricing advice to keep prices low for the people. But the price of the stones was fixed by the Purple Dragon Group's leader. He said that he wouldn't change. That was the old leader. He's been marked as a traitor since. Do you all want to die miserably just as he did? Mr. Martin, you all have been living within the heart of the kingdom for too long. Everything that happens outside the kingdom is simply oblivious to you. His Majesty's troops are currently attacking the Eastern Tribe. We need heavy, funding at a time like this. If we can increase the prices for the stones, you too can increase the prices for your services. It's all that we can do. And after that, the teacher went to brave the mine on his own. I heard you all talk about dangerous creatures within the mine. Would the teacher be able to take care of himself? I've never seen the teacher fight before. Me neither. He's only a forging teacher. How would he be able to defeat a dragon? The teacher already thought that the prices for the stones were high. We didn't know that the prices of the stones were going to increase. He's suffering again for the benefit of the kingdom's people. We need to stop him at all costs. I'm going to go find the swordsmanship teacher and the magic teacher to help us. Teachers with classes aren't here today. Why not? The kingdom hosts an annual spring hunt. Prior to the hunt, the teachers have to visit His Highness to receive the rules for the year. Did it have to be today of all days? Yup. Then I'm going to go find Sophie's. No can do. A large portion of the hunting is organized by the White Dragon team. I can't do this. I can't do that. What the fuck am I supposed to do? We can't have an innocent soul like him getting hurt. Is this an earthquake? The man has a serious expression. Good morning, Elder. Good morning, Eli. It's him. The boulder falls. Cough, cough. This is the materials for this month. Eli, Mr. Martin has left for the time being. Can he give you the money for the materials after he's returned? No worries, I've got loads of faith in him. I'm going now. The hand grips a white object. Eli, do you want to earn some more money? Oh, it's Shang Yi. Moto, take me to the Purple Dragon Group. I want to buy a high-level gold alloy stone. What do you want to buy stones for? Several men stand before a large building. I'm sorry. Did that Martin cross straight in from here? That's right. He said that he wanted to collect stones on his own. Haha, that idiot, he's going to get himself eaten by that dragon. He is an academy teacher after all, he must have a few tricks up his sleeve. Even if he did defeat that dragon, don't forget that he's going to have to get past us first. The person spins, generating electricity. Huh? Hey, look at that. What is that thing? The man draws a line on the floor. Shit, what kind of monster is that? It's coming straight for us. Whoa. There's a monster appearance within the kingdom walls, let our leader know. The vehicle accelerates. Whoa, can't you slow it down a little? Is this the thing that you created from those steam engine blueprints? This is a car, and I've added some improvements. I've made the thing electric. Electric? Are you telling me that you bought purple electric stones to power this thing? That's right, you're a smart one. I'm going to have to count on you guys to rescue Mr. Martin. Shang Yi, pay attention to where you're going. Look at where you're going and don't look back. Sit tight, I'm about to speed it up. 5 figures stand outside the gold alloy stone mine. Huh? Oi, who are you and what are you doing here? I want to collect alloy stones to take back to the school so I can teach my students. Our leader has already set rules in place. Only people from the Purple Dragon Group may collect resources from this mine. You dare defy us? Hey, let him go. What is he going to achieve from going in there alone? The man looks to the right. The man casts a spell. As long as I follow the dugout route, I should be able to find some stones. There seems to be many minerals in this mine. The guy still said that gathering these stones was difficult. They only said so that they could raise the asking price of the stones. Drip, drip, drip. Don't worry, I'll be fine. The man moves his hand towards the creature. Ground dragon. Crack. The animal charges towards the man. The man clenches his jaw. The car drives up the cliff, leaving a trail of smoke. Shang Yi. The cave entrance is just up ahead. A vehicle approaches the cave entrance. We didn't see the teacher on the way here. He must have already gone in. My tolerance for things like this has definitely weakened. Huh? Are you alright? We still have to fight in a moment. It's alright. I'll be fine after a short rest. Yi Bei, do you think you can handle the ground dragons? At the demon tribe, the citizens used to eat them roasted. Then let's go find our teacher. A white circle glows brightly. Whirl. Shit, what's going on? The man looks off panel. Time. Teacher. Huh? Why are you all here? Teacher, are you hurt? It's all good. The large creature lies on its back. Teacher. Is that a gun? Is that a gun? Gun? This is a steam ejector invented by the dwarves. That's wonderful. We can go collect our own stones in the future and we will never need to buy them from the army ever again. We can't use them yet, they still need to be refined. There's a refinery class in the school. I'm pretty sure we can ask them for help. If you've said it, the teacher has probably thought about it already. If I was to take a guess, that refinery teacher works with the Purple Dragon team. Yup. We've got company. It's Purple Dragon troops. Whoa, there's many here. I don't understand. It doesn't look like these people are willing to share. HMPH, you've got some balls, Martin. Don't you know that this area is under the watch of the Purple Dragon team? Teacher, who is this? He's the refinery teacher at the academy. He's also the refinery practitioner of the Purple Dragon team, Yalu. Yalu, I thought that collecting resources was supposed to be a dangerous thing to do. Those ground dragons can't even be considered hostile. I mined all of that on my own. You people created lies to up your prices. The people within the kingdom are struggling workers. They have to save up 20 to 30 years worth of pay so that they can have a roof over their head. And you're selling low-tier stones at the price that an average person earns over 20 to 30 years. Why are you doing this? Damn, isn't this just like my original world? I didn't know that buying a house here was just as hard. I will inform His Majesty of this. We will not be needing you for our supply of gold alloy stones any longer. HMPH, even if His Majesty allowed you to mine for your own stones, how are you going to refine them for your own uses? It's all my fault that I didn't stay long enough to master the arts of refinery from the dwarves. I left in a hurry. So what if we don't know how to refine them? After leaving here today, we'll head to the dwarf tribe to master the technique. But, is a military budget the actual reason for you to increase the prices of the stones? This kid. All you greedy bastards are responsible for the high prices inside the capital. Do you even know the people who are supporting what we're doing out here? I thought I'd let you off easy. But now, I'm going to bury you here forever. Stop, you want to live. It's all my fault. I didn't know that I would be putting all of you in danger too. That's right, but it's all my fault for being too rash. I brought them all here to help. Thank you everyone. Go. A man stands as another rides a contraption. Eli, Yi Bei. Do you guys still remember the plan? I remember, we need to clear out a large area for you. Don't. The woman holds a sword. You're not a match for me. Two fists collide. Focus, focus, focus. That's what I'm talking about. Shockwave. The machine emits white smoke. Boom. You won't live long. Arg ah. They're too strong. Are they really students? I didn't know that the teacher was this powerful. Shang Yi, how do you still have time to draw? I'm experimenting. If I get this right, forgery may become the new strongest branch at our academy. Wind. Electricity. Hooah. This is the power of my bloodline. Several explosions happen on the ground. The woman is fighting against the men. Ah, my foot, ah. The woman looks over her shoulder. Hee hee. The man stands against a blue background with white lightning bolts. What's this stuff? A foot steps on glowing green substance. The liquid swirls around the foot. A powerful sorcerer. HMPH. You think you can do that? You've really gotten cocky. The man throws punches surrounded by green energy. The man's eye glows. The hand punches forward with a green blur. The hand is clenched into a fist with green trails swirling around it. This stuff moves on its own. Huggin. Eli. Fist of heat. The green slime flows off the person's arms. This stuff is resistant to fire. This is my hand-brewed animated slime. It's fire and shock proof. Let's try something different. The man is summoning magic energy. You're not allowed to leave this place. Mr. Martin, that liquid was corrosive. Hee hee. I did say that this was where you were going to die. Do you think I'd be afraid of you? That was beautiful. Hee hee. You're too weak to fight. The woman runs, generating glowing green lines. Green liquid has splashed onto the ground. The slime is dripping down the man's face and body.